a list of stars that never ends. You're our guest in the front row. Now it's time to start the show. Branson Webcast Show, interviews with folks you know. Come along and join the fun. In our books, you're #1.
From the live entertainment capital of the world, you're listening to BransonWebcast.com with your hosts, Hamner and Barber.
It's not TV or radio, just one click, download the show. Grab some coffee, take your seat. We've got friends you'd like to meet. Branson Webcast Show, Hamner, Barber, here we go. Laugh along and have some fun. It's a show for everyone.
We're on the World Wide Web at BransonWebcast.com. And now, here are your hosts, Hamner and Barber.
Well, thank you, Craig Burnett and Ricky Bowen and Texas Mud for our theme music, and welcome back to the next edition of the Branson Webcast with a very special guest today, Dave.
Well, I'm excited. This is my old boss right here, Jim Thomas, that near and dear to our hearts out here in Branson. He's kind of Mr. Branson, if you will. He changed the course of the history here in Branson by bringing in true entertainment artists, true stars. And some of those stars are like Roy Clark, Jim Stafford, Ray Stevens, and he was the guy that did it right here, my old boss.
Well, I get credit and blame for that.
Yes.
I accept half of it.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, just tell us a little bit about how you first came to Branson. What was your first introduction to this town?
Well, as a boy, I was born and raised in Joplin, Missouri, which is up here about 90 miles. And as a boy, this was our playground in Lake Taneycomo, and I loved fishing, and I had a business in Joplin and sold it, and said to the wife, I've always wanted to live on the lake in Table Rock. I'd fished here often, and so we just packed up and came here. So I had a friend that was I went to college with that was in business in the same building as Roy Clark. And I saw show business down here, and I'd been in show business in Joplin, so I knew star power, as I called it, and that is the ability of it to draw. And so I made a deal with Roy to come up here and build a theater, and that's what we did. And called it the Roy Clark Theater. Mm-hmm. And then Roy couldn't be there, he was on the road for the most part, and for the open days then we'd book in the different stars like Tanya Tucker and Tanya, just the whole list of them.
Glenn Campbell, I think
Campbell,
came in.
That's right. Yeah, so, and that's a wonderful thing. And I've become real dear friends with old Boxcar Willie. He's gone now, but he was a good guy. And Mickey is one of my best friends, and it came about, and he tells a story about, he said, I'm not going to Branson, bum out. They said, well, he'll sue you if you don't, and how come? He said, well, all the shows are sold out. So he came down and got acquainted with Branson, as did Jim Stafford, who's a neighbor. He lives next door to me, and good friend. And old Jim is all right. Mel Tillis, of course, came in, built his own theater, and he's gone elsewhere. I don't know where Mel is now. I guess just on the road. Mm-hmm. But we had a lot of fun, and they were awful good to me. Branson was awful good to me.
Well, Jim put together one of the best production shows, a review show, a few years back called Branson City Lights. Now, they changed the name on us, and that's what messes us up.
Yeah, right.
Branson City Lights, that we were fortunate enough to be part of. And, Jim, we want to thank you publicly for giving us 3 years of work in that beautiful theater there at the Remington at the time. And my wife and I, you're near and dear to our hearts, but you were a wonderful producer of shows. It wasn't just about you getting people to come in and sing or something. You were able to assemble people and put them together, and the show was a wonderful show of ice skaters, entertainers, singers, dancers, stunt people. We had stunt people. Yeah. It had everything in that show that you would see in any show in the world. But that was the first production show that really came to Branson also. So you're a first in a lot of areas here in Branson.
Well, I'm probably the last to die because I'm living to 83 years old.
Well, you're looking good too, Jim.
So anyway, well, we can throw all those stars' names around, and we did bring them in, and I'd like to accept the credit for that, but to their credit, without their background and performance, nobody came to see me except the bill collectors. And But of all the shows, that I had this was a highlight of my career, was Branson City Lights.
Branson City Lights.
Because you were a big part of it and entertained us tremendously. You had the birds flying, which unbelievable.
In that room,
people trying to reach up and grab your act.
I think they fly, and they would fly those laps. You remember how they would circle, get up high and circle, and then they would come in, and you know, they don't quite do that here in our theater. They do well in this theater, but it's not like the feel of that large building.
We wouldn't allow anybody to bring a shotgun in.
No.
Shoot the bird, you know. Well, but that was a wonderful time, and again, I was favored for it. And I wanted to thank you, you and Denise, as you added to the quality of the show, and people often talk to me about you, and I think about you all the time.
You had a club in Joplin, Missouri. Can you tell us a little bit about those early days?
In my appliance business, I had a television show, and I didn't have the show at that time. I was buying radio spots. And the TV tower was coming into this particular radio station. A friend of mine called on me for selling me radio spots. Said, I've got a deal for you. He said, we're going to do a television station. It was going to open up. You remember, this is when TV wasn't. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody was so anxious. And I said, well, how much the spot's going to be? And he said, $7.50 a piece. And I said, oh, it'll never sell. $7.50. We get radio spots for 50 cents. Well, he came back and he said, I've got a deal for you. We've got 13 series of Grand Ole Opry series shows, same format, different stars. And if you want to take that, I'll give that to you for $35 for the film and $100 for the time, 9:30 on Saturday night. Unbelievable. Well, I took him up on it. And I did my own MCing, and I'm telling you, the people thought we were a live show. They wanted to buy tickets. So now this is kind of really the start of my getting involved and understanding this. I thought, well, if they're trying to get in on a film to buy tickets, what if I brought the Grand Ole Opry to Joplin? So I rented the Memorial Hall, 2,700 seats, 2 shows, and brought in, Minnie Pearl, I don't know, on, the different stars of that day and time, and sold that thing out twice. I could not believe it. Let me know, boy, people really go for the stars, and television at the time. So anyway, then I came to Branson. I realized the star power, and I got interested, to repeat myself, but it was Roy Clark, and by Roy coming in, I owe a gratitude to him by him being the first big name, but allowing me to utilize that name. Mm-hmm. And then I built the hotel, Lodge the Ozarks, and bought Roy out. And at the same time, we were needing to use the theater, and we used it on the stars, as some of you've named: Mickey Gilley, Mel Tillis,
Jim Stafford.
It goes on, and Christy Lane. There's a lot of them I've even forgot about, But they were good to me, I'll put it that way. Without them, I was nothing. And I just captured what they were and had the place for them to be who they are. And people came to Branson because they go to Nashville and make records. People know their record, but when they came to Branson, to be able to touch them right on the stage and see them after they've heard the records in all those years, that was what the phenomenon was. And so it was a sellout all the time.
So Branson then, through your efforts, then became similar to what Vegas was back then, where they could go to Las Vegas and see like Dean Martin or whoever, the Rat Pack, the real Rat Pack.
Yeah,
and they came here then with the country concept in mind of seeing Roy Clark and all these legitimate stars.
That's right.
So exactly it changed the course of Branson forever, basically.
Well, it seemed to, but they were good to me, and the response was wonderful. I couldn't, I had to apologize for people for not having more seats, at time. So I call that star power, and that's the reason I could bring those stars in and know that they was going to sell out. Well, you've been doing a lot of talking.
I've been listening. I've been listening to you carefully. You know, it's a real challenge to produce a show. Many people probably don't realize the financial risks and just how difficult it is.
Yeah.
But you've seen a lot of changes. You kind of opened the door for all the growth that Branson has experienced since Roy Clark came in. But how do you think it is for a producer today to put on a show in this environment in the town?
Well, he's got his work cut out, he or she. That's for sure. But on the other hand, there's more people coming, and they're coming for the same thing, entertainment. And you have to find the key to what entertains them, and they'll be there. You entertain. There's no saying you build it and they'll come. Well, I don't know about that. But if you entertain them, they'll come. Because the word spreads fast. Boy, you got to go see that show. You got to see this show. And it's there's been some proven. Shoji Tabuchi as an example. Used to come on the back of my stage just as a fiddler. Bless his heart, because he was an entertainer, they came to his show once he got a theater, and I would say that he's probably the most successful person in this town. Been a lot of fun.
And what projects have you got going right now?
Doing nothing, slowly.
Really?
Do you miss doing a show, Jim?
Well, no, I don't, quite honestly. I kind of, but I don't want to emphasize it. But I do miss the people I worked with, just like you. You become good friends, and then you go your way, and vice versa. Had lots of good friends, and even whether they're selling popcorn or cleaning up the theater, you'd have about 100 employees, and they're just wonderful people.
Everybody's important in the theater, no matter what their job is.
Exactly right. And so I enjoyed the friendship of everybody, and not just the stars, but just...
Well, you'd come in and you'd talk to everybody. You would come in as the owner and the producer and running that, managing everything that's going on. You would talk to the concession people. You would talk to everyone there.
Well, you might be backing what the wife says. You talk too much. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not I've done all that in my past.
You bet.
I was a shoe shine boy when I was a kid, and I sold ice cream bars up and down, so I don't have any problem relating to people who have lesser jobs, so to speak. In fact, without that support, even your act, you've got to depend on the people to sell the tickets and pop the popcorn, whatever, and don't ever want to forget them, because
everything's important to the life of a theater.
They tell me you're the funny guy here.
Well, today I'm the quiet guy, but in the show I am the comedian. Yes, I'm.
Yeah, well, I'm a
wild and crazy guy.
Wild and crazy. Well, that's wonderful.
I didn't mean to talk so much, but I am so excited to have Jim Thomas as our guest, and it's like old home week here to have Jim back. And
I'll tell you, Dave has spoken very highly of you to me many, many years, ever since I've known Dave, and so he was really looking forward to having you on here today. And
I look forward to being there.
We're thrilled to have you.
Thanks to Gary's contact. He called me, and it didn't take me any time to make up my mind to come see old Dave.
Gary Bartlett
nice to have met
set up the connection. Yes, good to have you here, and thanks for being on our Branson webcast.
You've been listening to BransonWebcast.com with your hosts Dave Hamner and Jim Barber. Join us next time for more interviews, music, and fun from Branson, Missouri.
Y'all come back and hear us soon. Hope you liked our little tune. Next time on the internet, we'll have new friends you haven't met. Branson Webcast Show, spread the word to all you know. On the web and having fun, it's the show for everyone.
This is your announcer, Craig Burnett, saying thanks for joining us, and come back real soon for more fun at BransonWebcast.com.